Hi, welcome back to the recap room. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a suspenseful thriller movie that is the last part of the trilogy by M. Night Shyamalan. This video contains spoilers, so be warned. The movie begins with Patricia, aka Kevin, walking into an abandoned warehouse, where there are 4 cheerleaders tied up. In the next scene that changes, 2 brothers cause someone to fall while they film them. David Dunn has superhero powers and can defeat people without getting a scratch and see everyone's past every time he touches their body. David breaks into the boys' house as they are playing video games and beats them up so that they don't create any more problems in the neighborhood. He then goes back to the back room of his electronics shop where his son is sitting in front of a screen scoring the neighborhood for potential crimes. The father-son duo solves petty crimes in their city thanks to David's superpowers. The public names David as the overseer, and his son worriedly tells him to lay low and be careful as the police are on a hunt for him. David agrees and leaves for his home. Meanwhile, Kevin, who now presents as Hedwig, a 9-year-old boy, tells the girls that they were kidnapped because they are impure, and that the beast needs to devour them. He tells them that the beast may appear at any minute. Back at the electronics store, David Dunn tells his son that he's going for a walk, which is a code word for him to go out searching for clues. Joseph Dunn tells him not to go, but David leaves anyway. On the road, he comes across multiple construction works and bumps against them. While walking, he bumps into a young man who is walking down the street with his headphones on. David suddenly gets a flashback of the tied-up cheerleaders and tells his son to confirm the location of the girls, as he's now sure of who their kidnapper is. Kevin walks into an underground area with other homeless people and takes his shirt off before changing his personality and turning into the Beast. The Beast is Kevin's 24th and strongest personality. While at the warehouse, the tied-up cheerleaders hear clanging noise and start to panic, assuming the worst. Just as they are struggling with their restraints, they see a hooded figure above them. Before they can scream, the hooded figure breaks off their restraints and lets them go. Just then, they hear growling, which indicates that the Beast is back in the warehouse. The Beast comes in, and fighting ensues. He lifts a large table without breaking a sweat and throwing it at David. However, David can fend off the attacks and they continue fighting. Finally, David pushes the Beast through the window and the two land on the pavement without getting hurt. They then run toward each other, but before they can attack, bright lights go off and they freeze in the middle of the road. Bright lights are a weakness of the Beast, and he reverts to a much weaker personality. Joseph, who has been listening to everything through the microphone on his father, overhears that both David and Kevin will be taken to Raven Hill Memorial Psychiatric Hospital. David assures his son that everything will be okay before he's taken away. At the hospital, we are introduced to Dr. Ellie Staple, who is a psychiatrist who specializes in people with severe mental disorders. She assumes that both David and Kevin are obsessed with becoming superheroes. The two are confined in 2 different rooms that are both protected by the best security there is. Kevin's room has hypnotic lights that make him change his personality. So every time he turns into the Beast and gets aggressive, Ellie turns on the lights, causing him to revert to his weaker personality. Meanwhile, David's room has water jets in his room, as water is his weakness. Mr. Glass is also at the mental hospital and is wheelchair-bound, as he has an illness that causes his bones to shatter even from the slightest of falls. He is in a vegetable state due to a large number of sedatives he has been put on by Dr. Ellie, who fear that if he was not subdued, he would be able to figure out a way to escape, considering he's a genius. Dr. Ellie tries to convince all 3 of them that superheroes are a work of fiction and they do not exist. Any powers that they may think they have are simply illusions. One day, a male nurse visits Kevin, but it's caught off guard by Kevin's ever-changing personality. As Kevin tries to attack the nurse, he repeatedly turns on the bright hypnotic eyes that cause Kevin's personality to change again and again. Kevin and David are kept in rooms opposite each other. One day, as nurses were bringing their meals in, they spot each other and try to charge forward to fight. However, they are too late and the doors to their rooms close. David feels frustrated and tries to escape, but as soon as he kicks the door, the water jets get activated, weakening him. Meanwhile, Kevin in the other room tries the same tactic, but the hypnotic lights prevent him from getting to the door. At this point, Dr. Ellie shows up and tries to calm both of them down. The next day, Joseph Dunn arrives at the mental hospital and meets Dr. Ellie. He tries to get David released, but is unable to, as Dr. Ellie refuses to release them and tells them to stop thinking of his father as a superhero, and instead think of him as a person with severe mental illness. At the same time, Casey, one of the girls that Kevin had kidnapped years ago and had formed a bond with, shows up. When she goes into Kevin's room, she encounters Hedwig, who is excited to see her. But soon, his personality changes once again, and he harshly mutters that Casey is no different from Dr. Ellie and only thinks of Kevin as some kind of experimental guinea pig. Casey tries to touch him and begs him to revert to Kevin, which he does. Dr. Ellie asks Casey for her help and tells her that if she's not able to help Kevin soon, she will be confined within the mental hospital forever. One day, all three of them are gathered in a hall where Dr. Ellie evaluates them and talks to them individually. She tells David that water is his weakness because he had a drowning incident when he was younger, and not a side effect of his superhero powers. She then shows him an MRI scan of his brain and tells him that the chemical composition of his brain was altered after the train accident, and that he cannot assess people's personalities, and that he just can pick up on details that help him decipher someone's personality. She then talks to Kevin and calls out his full name. She tells him that his personality, the Beast, emerged as a result of him working at the zoo when he was well. Kevin asks how he was able to bend mental bars if everything is just an illusion. To which Dr. Ellie replies that the zoo was built years ago and that the metal has gotten rust, hence it is easier to bend. She tells him that he is not immune to bullets, but that the bullets that were fired at him were old, and since it was raining, the water made them useless. That night, it is revealed that Mr. Glass is fully coherent and can sneak out of his room. He sneaks out of his room and manages to search up David and Kevin's files and discovers that the two emerged as a result of a train accident that he has designed. He then sneaks into Kevin's room and convinces him to use the Beast against David so that everyone knows that there are no real superheroes. The next day, Mr. Glass is forcefully taken into the operation room as his actions were caught on the CCTV cameras. Dr. Ellie decides to perform laser surgery on his brain to sedate him. As he is sitting in his room, pretending to be sedated, a male nurse enters and Mr. Glass kills him. It turns out that Mr. Glass had replaced the laser in the machine the night before, so his surgery was unsuccessful. Mr. Glass once again sneaks into Kevin's room and breaks all the lights and frees the Beast. He's amazed to see the Beast's agility and his ability to climb walls. He figures that his experiment to create a superhero was successful. He then announces through the speaker system that he's going to the Osaka Tower and that he's going to blow the hospital up. David escapes from his room and he's recorded by the CCTV footage as he's leaving. Dr. Ellie calls the police when she hears about Mr. Glass' plans. As the police arrives, Mr. Glass and the Beast are outside. The Beast starts attacking and killing policemen. As Joseph, Casey, and Mr. Price, Mr. Glass' mother, watch, the Beast spots David and rushes to attack him again. As more policemen emerge, the two begin to fight them off before resuming their fighting. Joseph Dunn tells the Beast that Mr. Glass is the mastermind behind the train accident that took the life of his father. Enraged, he attacks and kills Mr. Glass. He then throws David in the water tank before rushing toward the city center. Before he can make his way there, Casey grabs his hand and asks him to revert to Kevin. Just as he does, he's shot dead by the police. Meanwhile, David breaks the water tank and sees Dr. Ellie extending her hand towards him. As he grabs her hand, he sees that Dr. Ellie is sitting with a secret organization. Before David is killed, Dr. Ellie tells him that she belongs to a secret organization that kills superheroes so that the world can go on peacefully. She then goes to report back to the organization that her job is done. As she gets to the hospital, she discovers that Mr. Glass had hacked all the CCTV footage and had sent it to Mrs. Price, Joseph, and Casey, who then release it to the public to prove that superheroes do exist. And that was it for the recap, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Also, ring the notification bell to keep updated on our uploads.